Welcome to Bible study, and today we will be at Philippians chapter 1 verse 7. There we read like it is right for me to feel this way about you all because I hold you in my heart, for you are all partakers with me of grace, both in my imprisonment and in the defense and confirmation of the gospel. When we the beginning of the word, it says that it is right for me meaning Apostle Paul. We're going to write out all the characters mentioned in this verse. Me to feel this way about you all, talking about the Philippian believers, because I, Paul, hold you, again Philippian believers, in my heart, Paul, for you are all Philippian believers, partakers with me, talking about Apostle Paul, of grace, both in my imprisonment and in the defense and confirmation of the gospel. So Apostle Paul is saying, it is right for me. It is right for me. It is important that we take note of the word right. This is the same word that we read in Romans chapter 1 verse 17. The Greek word used here that we read is called dikaios. Romans chapter 1 verse 17, where it says that just shall live by faith. So the word just in English we translate, the same word can be translated as just. So it is right, or in other words we can say it is just for me, for being Apostle Paul is saying it is just for Apostle Paul to feel this way about you all. So the natural question for us will be, the Apostle Paul is saying, oh, it's okay for me to feel this way. So immediately as reader, what we should ask the question, what way, Apostle Paul? That will be answered in verse 6, in the previous verse, where Apostle Paul says that he who has begun a good work in you will bring it to the day of completion. Talking about the God is going to complete the good work that he started in the life of the Philippian believers. Then he goes on to talk about the reasons why it is right for him to feel this way. Then we read, because I hold you in my heart. Whenever we see the word because used in a verse, we always know, we should understand, it always answers the question why. Why Apostle Paul is right to feel this way? Because he holds them in his heart. That's the reason Apostle Paul is telling, okay, it is okay for me to. But we can ask Apostle Paul, just because you think that or you hold them in the heart doesn't mean that God has to fulfill what he has started, as he says in verse 6. So he goes on further, gives us explanation why he is holding them in his heart and why it is right for him to feel that the good work that God started will be completed in them, as he says in verse 6. He uses the word for. You are all partakers with me of grace. This is another word that we should be taking note. Partakers. We should take note of this another word, that partakers. Why? Because if you are reading from chapter 1 verse 1, in verse 5, in verse 6, we can see two particular usages which is similar to this. In verse 5 we read something called as partnership. You were in partnership with me, Apostle Paul says. In verse 6 he says, you have done a good work. Now here Apostle Paul is equating the same two things, that you are all partakers. Partnership in verse 5, good work, and with me of the grace, talking about the salvation or coming to knowledge of Jesus Christ. And when they did that, or how did they become what kind of partnership did they do, or what was how they became partakers with Apostle Paul? He gives two major things. He talks about both in my imprisonment and in the defense and the confirmations. So number one, when he was imprisoned. Number two, in the defense and the confirmation that Apostle Paul had to go through in the for the gospel. So Apostle Paul is telling they were partakers or they had done good work when he was in prison. Plus, when he was defending and confirming the gospel before others. And the Philippian believers, were willing to identify with Apostle Paul in the most daring situation that can come in front of them. That's why Apostle Paul says, it is right for me to feel this way, that God is going to complete what he has started, because I hold you in my heart. Reason you identified with me in when Apostle Paul was in prison, and also when he was defending and confirming the gospel in front of others. Beloved ones, may God help us also to stand strong for the faith and be able to identify the ones who are suffering for the gospel, just like the Philippian believers did. May God help us. May God bless you all.